y'all, Dixie here. Today I want to talk to you about my tent selection for my Pacific Crest Trail through hike. So I had to basically decide whether I was going to keep the tent that I used on the Appalachian Trail, which was the Big Agnes Fly Creek UL2. That tent is 2 pounds 5 ounces for the two person. The one person is 2 pounds 1 ounce. The tent performed very well. I had no condensation issues. I never got soaked during a rainstorm. You know, if you set it up properly and not in, a big dip or something like that, you're gonna be fine in that tent. It's a great tent. It cost me $350, which you can get it a little bit cheaper. I got it at like the only outfitter in a certain area at Neal Gap Mountain Crossings, and they know they're the only outfitter there, so of course they can mark it up a little bit. I think that tent would definitely last another through hike. So I had considered keeping it. The only downside to that tent at all, if you want to call it that, is the door is like right up front, so you kind of have to like climb into the cave and turn around or like back into it, and it's just not as convenient as like the tents that have the side door, the side access, and especially ones that have 2 doors. So anyway, other than that, it was really a great tent. So the only thing that made me decide that I might look into getting another tent is I want to lighten my load. On the Pacific Crest Trail, you've got to tote more water than you do on the Appalachian Trail, so I was trying to offset my weight during my gear selection as much as possible to account for that extra water weight. So here is my Big Agnes Fly Creek UL2, the tent and vestibule and all, and then the poles. So if I wasn't going to carry this tent, I had to decide, what tents might I be interested in taking instead. During my research and looking for a new tent, there were 3 that really caught my eye. That was the Z-Pax Duplex, the Lightheart So Long 6, and the Hyperlight Mountain Gear Echo 2. The heaviest of those 3, but also coming in at the cheapest, was the So Long 6, which is 1 pound 15 ounces and costs about $298, and that's not, with the bells and whistles or anything extra added on, because they will do certain other little things to it. The dimensions of that tent are 45 inches high, 55 inches wide, and 100 inches long. So it was definitely the longest tent that I looked at, which is probably why it's called the So Long, right? So it's a pretty roomy tent. Also, it has 2 doors on either side for, easy exiting and entering and whatever. And one of the things that I didn't really care for, though, is you have to, from what I saw in the setup video, get in to kind of set it up. So I did kind of look at that one, but I decided, it's cutting some weight, but was it really as much as I wanted to cut, and did it warrant upgrading? So at 1 ounce lighter, there was the Echo 2, and it looked really cool. Like, it looks like a very cool tent, but it's $695. So that was a pretty penny, for a tent that, again, would definitely lighten my load some, but not a whole lot. And you use your trekking poles to set it up, so it saves you the weight of extra tent poles. The dimensions of the Echo 2 are 41 inches high, so you have less headroom than the So Long, 51 inches wide, and then 84 inches long. So, it's just all around kind of, less roomy for 1 ounce less, and then, all that extra money. Then finally, I looked at the Z-Pax Duplex, and I noticed that it was 1 pound 5 ounces, so that's a whole pound lighter than the Big Agnes tent that I have, and also uses trekking poles to set up. Also has 2 doors in and out. The headroom is 48 inches, the width is 45 inches, and then the length is 90 inches. So seems pretty roomy. And then looking at the setup of all 3 of these different tents, it just seemed like the Echo would be pretty difficult to set up, and having the beak on the Echo 2, I don't know, it just seemed like another part that could tear off in high winds. And the Z-Pax Duplex was $599. So anyway, after just considering all of these different options and everything, I decided that the Z-Pax Duplex was the one that I wanted to go with. So here it is right here. It does seem like it'll take a little skill to set this up. I haven't tried yet, but it's definitely going to take more than my Big Agnes. And it's funny because when I first upgraded to the Big Agnes at Neal Gap, after my crappy hammock setup was just a nightmare, the guy there who was helping me pick out a tent, he was like, well, you can go with this lightweight, 2-person backpacking tent. It's 2 pounds 5 ounces, and with not much skill, you can put it up. It's pretty much freestanding. You'll have to stake out the corners and yada yada. But Then he said, but with a little more skill, we could put you into something even lighter that you use your trekking poles to set up. And I was like, yeah, that whole part that you just mentioned about having a little skill, let's pretend I don't have that, because again, it was my first backpacking trip ever. I wasn't comfortable hanging a bear bag. I wasn't comfortable, you know, with filtering water, just everything about the experience. So I was like, I just want something that I feel familiar with, and that is setting up a tent. So now that I feel like I'm a lot more experienced and everything, I think hopefully I'm ready for the challenge of this one, and hopefully it won't be too difficult to set up, so we'll see. So the trekking poles I picked for this through hike are the Black Diamond Alpine poles. These are carbon fiber, but the main thing that I like about them is they have the cork grips, which my other trekking poles had, and I really liked because they like absorb your sweat and they don't feel slippery when your hands start to sweat. And then the locking mechanisms, they're the flip locks, so to adjust them. I don't like the ones that twist. I like the ones that actually have this flip lock. They seem to secure it better. Alright, so I am going to try to put this thing together. Never have done it before. This is the first test run. I haven't pulled it out of the package yet, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I'm supposed to do the front ones first, and then the stake, or the pole. And then I'm supposed to do the front guy line, and then the back two corners, the pole, and then that guy line, I guess. Totally got it now. I don't know that I'm supposed to take this out yet. It says to, but... Hey! It kind of looks like a tent. It says 5 to 6 inches off the ground. That looks a little more than that, but just keep rolling with it. Insert the back center trekking pole the same way and stake it out. Now what I want to know is how I'm supposed to do this when it's all crazy windy. And then stake out the back two corners and the two wall guys. Okay, so stake out this part. Wait, this one. Sorry. Let's stake these out. Okay, so totally got this one. Totally got it, except I don't know where to do this, but alright, maybe. Okay, maybe something here. I feel like I'm gonna tear it up. It's floating. Okay. Let's take it away. Oh goodness. So it's definitely not pretty, but I'm gonna try to get in, but wow. These are stakes I already have. I may get some different ones, but these are pretty lightweight. Okay, here we go. Well, I'm in it. think I'm gonna need some work. So the last time I set this up, I didn't feel confident in the stability of the setup. So I just want to make sure that I master this thing at least one time before I get out there on the PCT and I'm depending on it for a shelter. So I watched the videos of this setup and here's take 2. So in the video I watched, all 4 corners were staked out first and then the trekking pole inserted instead of the written instructions which tell you to do 2 and then the trekking pole. So I'm just gonna go with that. Next, I'm gonna put the trekking pole in the front. You wanna make sure that all of your doors are unhooked. Trekking poles are supposed to be set at about 122 centimeters. All right. Sweet. Okay, now I'm going to stake out the front and the back. And it might have helped if I had staked out these as I did the trekking pole, but it's still standing, so there is improvement. This side actually looks pretty good. Both sides look pretty good, so now I'm going to stake out the sides. Alright, so now I'm going to connect one of the door flaps to this guy right here. This little hook deal. And up a little bit, and then this one, you know, if I go to sleep at night or whatever, well, that actually hooks there. There we go. Sweet. And then this door can be rolled up like this. And there she is. Like, I'm pretty happy. Excited this time. It just kind of freaked me out the first time because of the distance between the floor and the ground, but I think that's normal. I think that's the point of like the bathtub floor. And this thing feels a lot roomier than my Big Agnes. Seems like there's a lot more ventilation too. Not that I had a condensation issue in my Fly Creek, like I said, but still, it's pretty awesome. Considering the 2 of these, like packable wise, you know, what's gonna pack into my pack better, I don't think that there's necessarily a huge difference. I guess the convenience of not having to tote the poles and worry about those, but other than that, that's not really an issue. So I know this is supposed to be 1 pound 5 ounces, but I just wanted to weigh it with the scale that I have here, so this is going to show us in pounds anyway. So that's even coming in at less than the 1 pound 5 ounces. And the Big Agnes with the poles and all. 2.1 pounds, which is actually like 2 pounds of 2 ounces or something, so sweet. I definitely would not recommend taking this one out right out of the bag without experience on your first backpacking trip, especially if you think it's gonna rain or something like that. But you know, I think with a little practice, I'll master it. I just want to say a special thank you to everybody who made this PCT THRU-HIKE possible this year. A lot of my gear, this tent included, was purchased for me through my Amazon wish list, and so I just couldn't have made it happen without y'all. So thank you so very much, and I'm gonna have a couple more of these videos that show my gear selection, and then before you know it, I'm gonna have some footage up from the trail. So anyway, y'all stay tuned, and I hope this was helpful, and you know, I hope it gave y'all a little bit more information about the Z-Packs duplex, like boom, right out of the tent with somebody that has no experience using trekking poles to set up a tent. But anyway, we will see y'all next time. Okay, so I am here at Amicalola State Park, and there's this nice little compartment overhead, so that's the opening, where you can put like a headlamp